Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be looking into the third quarter earnings results for O'Reilly Auto Parts. And this stock has actually performed really well over the last year. Their stock price is up about 28% over the last year during the same time period that the S&P 500 is down about 20%. And on top of that, the S&P 500 is up about 40% over the last 5 years, but O'Reilly Auto Parts is up about 270%. Then they're up about 16% over the last 3 months, about 11% over the last month. So they're doing pretty well in terms of providing a really good return on investment for their shareholders from the growth of their stock. So we're just going to look into their financial statements in this company to see what their earnings growth has looked like year over year. And then we're also going to figure out the intrinsic value per share for the company and then also compare them to some of their competitors in this same industry. And so we can see right here from their financial statements, they're comparing their year-over-year balance sheet results right here, and then also the September 30th, 2022 balance sheet to the last quarter balance sheet for 2021. And we can see that during that time period, their total assets have increased from year over year about $11.7 billion to about $12.2 billion in the third quarter of 2022. And then interestingly enough, if we scroll down here, we can see they actually have a total shareholders deficit of about $1.2 billion on their balance sheet. And so basically that means that they have a negative net worth as a company. And that comes from the fact that they actually have more liabilities on their balance sheet than they do total assets. And so that ends up resulting in the negative shareholders equity amount on their balance sheet. And so right here, this is their income statement for the third quarter of 2022 compared to 2021. And year over year for their sales growth, we can see their sales have increased about 9% from about $3.4 billion in the third quarter of 2021 to $3.7 billion in 2022. Their gross profit has also increased. They had about $1.9 billion of gross profit in the third quarter. And then on top of that, the net income has increased by about 5% year over year from $558 million to $585 million. And then lastly, right here for their cash flow statement, we can see that for the 9 months ended September 30th, 2021 to 2022, their net cash provided by operating activities has actually decreased during that time period from about $2.5 billion to $2.3 billion of cash flow. And that's come mainly as a result of an increase in inventory purchases during the first 9 months of 2022 compared to 2021. And so obviously that could be a good sign because if they're able to sell that inventory, then that's going to improve their revenues and their profits long term. And then also if we go into their financing activities, we can see that their largest line item by far is repurchases of common stock. O'Reilly Auto Parts returns a ton of value to their shareholders, which is probably partly one of the reasons why their stock price has sort of experienced this massive straight line trajectory up to its current all-time high share price. And so we can see they repurchased about $2.8 billion, almost $3 billion worth of shares outstanding in the first 3 quarters of 2022. And that's a really significant amount of common stock to repurchase, especially considering that their net cash provided by operating activities for the first 3 quarters of 2022 was only $2.3 billion. So they've actually repurchased more common stock using cash than cash they've actually created from their business in year to date in 2022. And of this $2.8 billion that they've repurchased, about $710 million worth of that was repurchased in the third quarter. And so now we have this discounted cash flow model here, and I'm trying to figure out the intrinsic value per share of O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yahoo Finance is basically estimating that O'Reilly Auto Parts is going to grow at about 8% for the next 5 years compounded annually. They had about $2.7 billion worth of free cash flow on their balance sheet as of 2021, or not on their balance sheet, but on their cash flow statement as of 2021. Then they also have a net debt position on their balance sheet of about $6 billion, and they have about 62 million shares outstanding. And so with these metrics in mind, if we wanted to get at least a 10% return on our investment, we would want to buy into O'Reilly Auto Parts ideally at a share price of around $533 per share. That would be their intrinsic value per share, which means that currently O'Reilly Auto Parts could potentially be trading above their intrinsic value per share since they're currently trading at about $815 per share. So based on these Yahoo Finance growth rate estimates, it looks like O'Reilly Auto Parts may not be presenting as good of a buying opportunity at the current share price as they would at a share price of about $533 per share. But that being said, I wanted to compare them to some of their competitors in the automotive parts and supplies and equipment industry. So I compared them to AutoZone and Advanced Auto Parts. And we can see that O'Reilly Auto Parts has the highest net profit margin out of the three companies. And they also have the highest return on assets of about 17.55%, with AutoZone having the highest gross profit margin. And then Advanced Auto Parts is honestly lagging behind pretty substantially in terms of bottom line profit, and then on top of that, return on assets. So from a competitor analysis perspective, it looks like O'Reilly Auto Parts could present a good buying opportunity if we were comparing them to their bigger competitors in this industry. From an intrinsic value standpoint, it looks like O'Reilly Auto Parts might be presenting a little bit better of a buying opportunity at a share price of around $533 per share, assuming these growth rates 8% for the next 5 years and 4% per year after that. But that being said, O'Reilly Auto Parts stock is completely dominating the rest of the market. So congrats to anyone who was holding on to shares of this company. You've definitely been getting a really good return on your investment during the same time period that a lot of other investors have been losing money. So definitely great job to all of you who are holding shares of O'Reilly Auto Parts. I'm currently not one of those people, but I'd love to know if anyone watching this video is one of those people. If you are investing in O'Reilly Auto Parts, let me know in the comment section down below and let me know how many shares. I would love to talk about it. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see everyone in the next one.